Hi there, folks. Saber4 here. Uh, Wanting to talk a little bit about what we have so far in our spoiler season. Don't have any deck lists or anything else like that put together with them, but just wanted to kind of touch on some of the things that we have, this being May 2nd. Um, what's in this video? We'll talk about Force tokens. We'll talk about the leaders Maul, Qui Gon, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the third sister. We'll touch on some of the units that we've seen in Heroism and Villainy, and we will look a little bit about the upgrades and events that we have seen so far. Um, we'll catch mechanics as we encounter them, but before we get going, please, if you have not already, hit the subscribe button there. We are really seeing some interesting growth as a channel and would love to have you be a part of it. First mechanic that we want to touch while we're here, these are the two bases that we've seen so far. There's more art out there for them, but this is going to be kind of new with the common bases. Is you're going to see them have 28 health, greater than the 25 that you saw with the set 1 rares, less than the 35 that you've seen with Colossus. But they have carried the ability to bring along a force token. So when a friendly force unit attacks, the force is with you and you create a force token. Those tokens can be used by certain abilities and by leaders, and you will have events that gain force tokens. You will have events that could potentially lose force tokens, though we have not seen any of those yet in the cards that I have read to this point. But that is the first of the new mechanics that we've seen, is a force token mechanic. Let's take a look at the leaders. This is the first of the leaders that I've got on here, was Darth Maul. Darth Maul is a part of the starter set, so he is going to be in one of the spotlight decks. Darth Maul is Sith revealed. As an action, you give up one of your force tokens to deal 1 damage to a unit and then 1 damage to another unit. Keep in mind that this game has a do as much as you can, and so if there are 2 units on the board and one of them is yours, you will be doing damage to one of your own units. He deploys on 6 resources and comes out with the traits of Force and Sith. He has a 5 attack and 6 health. And on attack, he has the same action that he did as a leader, except that he no longer burns a force token to do it. We'll see in just a couple of minutes Darth Maul's lightsaber, which can make him very powerful, but we'll get to that momentarily. Our next leader up is Qui Gon Jinn. Qui Gon is the counterpart in our starter decks. Qui Gon Jinn has an action to use the Force and return a friendly non-leader unit to its owner's hand. We may then play a non-villainy unit that costs less from our hand for free. There are some interesting things that you can do with this, especially if you have taken some time to exploit in bigger units than what you have on the table, or what you have on the table at 6 resources. And can really kind of put your opponents in a bind with some big units that come in and get pretty healthy and can really unstabilize what they are trying to do. Qui-Gon deploys on 6 resources, has the traits of Force, Jedi, and Republic, is a 4 attack, 7 health with the same ability as he had on his leader side, except he does not use his Force token. I'm going to go back up to the bases for just a second to show you. These are Force units when that happens, and so if you have one of the bases from set 5 here as your standard, when your leader comes in and makes an attack, they are going to generate a Force token for you. Obi-Wan Kenobi is the next leader that we have seen, and this guy lets us use that Force token to put an experience token on a unit without one. This is a little bit different from Rey's ability that we saw in previous sets, in that Rey could do that as long as the unit had less than 3 attack. And in this case, it's Obi-Wan does it as long as it does not have an experience token. He does not carry the Restore 3 that Rey does when he flips. He deploys on 5 resources, has Force, Jedi, and Republic, 3 power, 6 health, and on attack, you can use that same ability. You can give an experience token to something without a token on it, but it's another unit, and so he cannot empower himself. Um, Command Heroism Leader. We'll see what comes of this as we get more into spoiler season. The final leader that we have is an Aggression Villainy, the Third Sister. Third Sister allows us to play a unit from hand as an action. It gains Hidden for this phase, and that does not require us to use our Force token. Hidden is the other mechanic. I told you we would touch on those as we came across them. Um, Hidden is a interesting new mechanic in that it prevents a newly deployed unit from being attacked this phase. So if we deploy something that's hidden and our opponents still need to take actions this turn, we can basically do that with the understanding that we will have that unit around the next turn as long as they do not use hard control methods of getting rid of it. Right now, that would mean that they would need to target it directly, especially if you were talking about something that is your second unit on the board. She deploys on 5 resources. She gets the Force, Imperial, and Inquisitor traits. Similar to Kylo Ren, she has a 5/4 without the detriment of losing attack for each card you have in hand. That's also a similar stat line to IG-88, though his ability was quite a bit weaker. 5 health, 4 attack, 5 attack, 4 health, and she is also hidden. And so on her deploy turn, she is not able to be attacked as you could do with Kylo and with IG-88. And this kind of gives you some time to suit her up a little bit. So if you were to put Fallen Lightsaber on her or something else, you can do so during that phase. The only real removal that you would have would be something like Open Fire or Takedown, because she cannot be attacked during the phase that she flips. We've seen a lot with this, and we are going to see a whole bunch, according to FFG, of Jedi and Force and some Sith and a lot of Force and a lot of Force and then some more Force. And so it's not surprising that our heroism units that we've seen so far, even though we've got 3 colors so far, we've got Jedi on 3 different colors. We've got Force in all 5 of these units. Republic is going to be a lot of what we'll see, especially as we talk about things that were in the episodes 1, 2, and 3 of the Star Wars films. But I've shown you Qui Gon, Anakin, Grogu, ObiWan, and Plo Koon. Talk about each of them just for a second. We have 2 legendaries already. Qui Gon Jinn is a legendary who allows you to come in as a 7/5 ambush. On 7, this is still a very powerful ability. High board impact here. This is a smaller stat line than Maul. However, when he is defeated, you can choose a non-leader ground unit and put it on the top or bottom of a deck. And that is not limited to your own things. So you can remove a non-leader ground unit threat that your opponents have and place it on the bottom of their deck, or you can place something that you need to deploy again on top of your deck if you are looking to use the when deployed abilities. Grogu is the other legendary that we've got. Looking at him there, you have the prestige version of his art. That was released in conjunction with the sleeves that will also be like that from this set. Grogu has the hidden keyword on him, so he is not going to be able to be attacked the turn that he is deployed. At 1/6, he has the largest health pool that we have seen on a 3-cost unit so far, and his action allows you to heal 2 damage from a unit, and it's an if you do. So if you heal, you may deal that much damage to another unit. Notice that does not restricted. So you could heal your opponent's units. You could deal damage to your own if you have things with grit. And why do I say things with grit? Well, right in the middle of them, you have Plo Koon. We're going to be generating a lot of Force tokens. We're going to be using a lot of Force tokens. But in doing so, as long as the Force is with you, as long as you have a Force token, Plo Koon is a 6/8 with grit. He does not have an immediate board impact, so it's going to be interesting what you're doing with him unless you find a way to bring him in off of an ambush. Uh, Imagine that unless you were generating force tokens in some other way with your deck, this is going to be a little bit less likely to have ECL attached to it, just because you are not able to create the tokens quite the same way without it. At the bottom here, we have ObiWan Kenobi, who every time you play a force unit, he gains Sentinel, including himself. So he's a 3/5 for 3, a very common stat line that we've got, but a 3/5 Sentinel for 3 is a nice place to be. Anakin Skywalker is the last one. There's another force thing that I didn't put up on here, but he is both hidden and shielded. Anakin is a part of the starter deck. Going to be an annoying little ankle biter there at 1 that is unable to be attacked on the turn that he is played. Villainy units. These are kind of the highlights of what we've got so far. Obviously, Darth Sidious being a major player here, a 6/8, 4/8 with Restore 2. And the ability, this is the first thing that we've had that a card that has the ability to use your Force token. And if you do, you defeat each non-Sith with 3 or less remaining HP. And so it's going to help you to play a pretty Sith-heavy deck, because anything that you've got on the table and anything that your opponents have on the table that is non-Sith and 3 or less health will immediately be defeated if Darth Sidious has used his Force token. Darth Tyrannus, who you have both as an event-exclusive art and as a piece of the starter deck, shielded, and as long as you have a Force token, it gains Ambush. So that's a 4/3 shielded ambusher for 4, so very much like his set 1 unit, he's going to be able to come in and probably remove something, but also have a shield token in front of him. Savage Opress is another interesting card here as uncommon. This is by far one of the biggest bodies that we've had at 6, with a whopping 15 stat points on it. This is larger, as you can see, than even Darth Sidious right next to him, who only has 14 for 8. The drawback here being that you must use a Force token both when you play him and when he is defeated. If you do not, you're going to deal 9 damage to your base on either side. But a 9/6 with Overwhelm is going to be an interesting one to put in. And again, kind of remains to be seen how he interplays with some of these bases and the generation of Force tokens. The last couple that we've got on here I have because they're just kind of interesting. Captain Enoch also implies that you might have some of the undead troopers that you saw from the Ahsoka series. But as an Imperial trooper, I did the little quick search, not to see which particular side had them, but there are 98 cards already with the trooper trait on them. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity for a trooper deck. And he gains +1/+0 for each trooper, and that is unique or not in your discard pile. So this guy can be a very, very gnarly addition to Dr. Alpha decks or to Admiral Trench, where you are able to put things into your discard pile pretty consistently. And if you're dumping troopers in there, well, you've got a really, really nasty Captain Enoch on your hands. And then finally the Scythe, which is a interesting card here just because it is able to be readied by the Grand Inquisitor. This is one of the Inquisitor ships, but on attack you can give another friendly Inquisitor unit +2/+0 for the phase. Now, one thing that does is that's going to put that other Inquisitor most likely out of reach for being readied again. However, if you are doing something where you are able to ready this ship and attack with it on a second time, and say, you've got brother out there and the ability to just go ahead, not worry about attacking with him first. You attack with your Scythe, you add to his attack, you do the Grand Inquisitor trick, you bring Scythe up. You can put as much as +4/+0. You could do it again and put +6/+0 on Grand Inquisitor's flip turn. But this really is enabling Inquisitors a little bit more, and is a nice one to do because, that is that's a deck that has some legs to it, if it has some help, and here we're seeing some help for it. Last couple of things I wanted to look at were just quickly events and upgrades. There haven't been a whole lot of these released yet, but they're important because of what is there. Um, Darth Maul's lightsaber. Here we have 6 stats on a lightsaber again, uh, at a 3 cost. And this time we're a little bit more balanced into attack than defense, which I think is thematically perfect for a dark side lightsaber. Um, and when played, if the unit is Darth Maul, it allows you to action cheat, which is a wonderful thing to do. For this attack, he gains Overwhelm, but must attack units. Can't attack bases if you are kind of action cheating this in. Again, thematic and a good place to be. Interesting for Maul decks, interesting for just Maul in general. And you do have plenty of him available so far through the different sets. Plus, he's a leader in this set, which I would imagine, based on our history, that we will probably get a Darth Maul unit in this set as well. The last 2 are up here just because interaction with tokens again. I wanted to show that we have seen both a token generator in Drain Essence, which allows you to deal 2 damage and create a force token. So this is a little bit less of a just straight defeat a unit, but comes in a little bit earlier in our villainy control meta and that whole color pattern. So this is allowing villainy control a way to generate force tokens even on turn 1 without plopping down a force unit. And then I have foreseen, we know the power already of being able to discount things in. A lot of different ways that this could come into play, but looking at the top card of your deck, things like the original Spark of Rebellion not Thrawn. Yeah, Thrawn, that's the right one. I said the right thing for once. Things like having Thrawn from the original set, you already know what's on top of your deck, and so that might be just kind of a hat on a hat. But this allows you to look at that top card of your deck, and then if you want to play that card, you can play it for a discount of 4, which works out to be a discount of 3. Quite nice for some of those decks. And if you have a very heavy vehicle presence, as you see behind Palpatine there, you have the ability to really race something out. It's not as perfect of a hit as you would have gotten when you had Triple Dark Raid, but good grief, that is a strong play. It is a decent probable replacement for that card in several decks when it comes online. But this is what we got so far. Check back with us over the coming weeks as we get more stuff in spoilers. And as there's enough of them to do so, we'll start to add them in and create some decks and just kind of do some preliminary playing with them. But yeah, this is what we've got as of May 5th or May 2nd. So that means it's an awesome weekend. Enjoy May the 4th. May the Force be with you. We'll see you next time.